But I've got vanilla, and I've got these tea cakes, and I'm wondering, oh, hey, there we go. The YouTube went live. So here, let's see if you guys can hear it. Anyways, at this time of the day, the bees usually go a little bit crazy. So if you're on the Instagram there, you might actually be able to hear the bees going a little bit crazy. But I'm going to start with is I've got some of this vanilla that I picked up at the shop, or sorry, at the tea show the other day. I'm going to try and brew it right now. Now, this is not I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just basically doing an experiment. So I bought some vanilla and they sent me this, which is the vanilla powdered up. And so a little bit later, we're going to go in. I'm going to open up a thing of vanilla, and we're going to try and do it, try and drink it as well. But just look at it. But I'm going to need help. I need help with the vanilla because I don't get vanilla. I don't at all. And we'll talk about like there's various prices depending on the length of the bean, or the pod, I should say. I don't think it's really a bean technically. But anyway, so why don't we start with this. These two tea cakes I got at the show. Now, these things are weird. They're strange tea cakes. They are not normal. They are tea cakes that are, well, let's see. Here, I can take this one out. This one's wrapped in plastic. It's a little bit loose. So if I hold it up, you can't really see too well, but you can see in the middle, it's got that sort of the typhoon thing here. But it's a little bit loose, so I haven't taken it out of its plastic wrap. But this bad boy, I can take right out of the plastic wrap. And when you're looking at, well, it's actually not even a plastic wrap. It's pressed a little bit more. And what these are was, oh yeah, you can see this one really well. Here, I'm just going to put this down. These tea cakes, yeah, that works. You can actually see it. So what these tea cakes are, this is Taiwanese. So this is, or sorry, not Taiwanese, this is Dongding Oolong. And the Dongding Oolong is made, it's like sort of finished. And then afterwards, they leave some, this guy has left some aside. And what he's done is he's gone to a buddy of his and he's pressed it into cakes. Now, it's kind of weird. It's not, so I've had tea cakes on the site before. And this is nothing like those tea cakes at all, in the sense that this is not tea that was made into tea cakes. This is tea that was sort of left over that they pressed into cakes. Now, I'm not really going to go too hard into this and really try and get exactly 5 grams. I'm just going in and I'm going to get about the same amount because I know that when people drink these styles of tea, this is kind of how they do it. Some people measure it out, some people don't. And I had this earlier, so it doesn't actually matter how I do it. These are strong teas. Now, this one that I've got in my hand right here, this one is 4 years old. So this one's 4 years old. Now, you can see this one's sort of thinner, and this one is thicker. So you can see them sort of like this. And this one is 600 grams. This one is 300 grams. This one is 4 years old. The thicker one is about 12 years old, I think it was. I'd have to look back at my notes, but I think it was 12 years old. 12 years old. And I'll tell you, they are strong tea. So I had some earlier, and I did it sort of the normal way, like so. I just did it the normal way in the sense of just a bowl like this, put some in with some hot water, and then I drank it, and it's strong. These are really, 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 really strong teas, and they're relatively roasted, so they've got a little bit of a roast on them, and they're old. They have sort of the old taste. So this one especially, so the older one has that real, bookshelf leathery older taste, and this one has it a lot. And one of the girls got on the computer there. Sorry. And this one, well, he said it was a competition tea. I don't know whether that's true. Maybe. But it was a tea that was left over. So it was a competition tea. It didn't win. It didn't win. But it was about from 4 years ago. And then he pressed it into a cake. And so the way these were pressed into cakes was they still steamed. So they still steamed the teas. But as you can see from looking at these tea cakes, right? If I just sort of randomly pick out, that's a stem, but the oolong sort of balls or nuggets or whatever you want to call them, right? This is what it sort of looks like. It's still there. So the oolong, it's still shaped like an oolong ball, is what it's shaped like. And that's good for this first steep here. And what happened was he has placed them to age, right? So he's placed them to age. And I saw them at the tea show walking around. I was like, okay, I saw him the first day. It was sort of later in the day. I'd had too much tea. I was like, okay. So I went to go see him the second day. And it worked out pretty well. Like it was pretty good, right? It was good. It was good. I tried it at the tea show. And then I brought them home and I've been sampling them today because I finally have some time. Thank you, everybody who has bought some tea. I was busy yesterday packing tea from the weekend. And what are we looking at with these? Well, we're actually looking at sort of aged oolong tastes and flavors, but like wet stored. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you're like a super, super duper tea nerd, you know the difference between dry storage and wet storage when it comes to pours, right? So dry and wet storage. And basically, the long and the short of it is wet storage would be really, really humid, kind of dank, kind of funky, works with some teas, doesn't work with others, works with some tastes, doesn't work with other tastes. This is sort of like a wet aged Dongding oolong. So these have got like a lot of age on them after only, this is what, 4 years, this is about 12 years. Now, this one was roasted pretty heavily, so there's still a roast on it. And this one it was also roasted pretty heavily, not too heavily, but it's got, it's over 10 years old, so it's aged off a little bit. And so when you're looking at these types of teas with the aging of the teas, I was talking to this guy very, very deeply about what the heck he was doing. Why was he doing this? He's like, basically, I'm experimenting and I'm having fun. So he took some tea that didn't sell. He's like, I can put it up on the shelf. I'm going to age it, whatever. But he took the teas that didn't sell, that were stuck up on the shelf, and he's like, let's see what happens. And that's the type of stuff that I really quite enjoy. So, that's what we're looking at right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to get both of these teas. Now, what I haven't really figured out is how much of these teas I want to get, right? That's what I haven't really figured out, because I can sit on them and age them for longer, but they're not that expensive, right? They're not that expensive. Oh, wait, so this is way better than the way I was drinking it before. So again, these are like strong with an aged flavor, Dongding Oolong tea cakes, right? Which is unique, obviously. And when I just threw them in the hot water and didn't drink them sort of through steeps, that was a little bit too much. But now that I'm drinking them sort of without letting them get too strong, what I'm getting with this sort of stuff. Now, if you're familiar with sort of what happens with aged, heavily roasted oolongs, oftentimes they'll get like a coconut note. So like a coconut milk, kind of coconutty note in the background. Now, on the site right now, maybe the Dragon's Eye charcoal roasted Taiwanese would be like a really good example of that coconutty note. And this one, the one that is 4 years old, has it really, really, really strong. And it's really quite nice. Now this, and I'm realizing now, I think I found how I'm going to market this stuff. This is as close as you can get to a Taiwanese show. This is it right here. So if you're looking at like a Taiwanese show pour, it's not a pour, it's not a show, but this is as close as you can get. And so this is a wet stored Dongding, sort of mid to high roast Dongding oolong that's been pressed into cakes for about 12 years ago. There's a touch of a sourness to it, right? There's a touch of a a touch of a sourness to it. There is a touch of, don't worry, there's nothing behind me here. And I should be putting it in here, but it actually has a hole in it that I still haven't gotten around to fixing yet. Because the only time I use this is when I do live streams. So the hot water I'm just tossing out behind me here. I should probably just get a bowl or something, or drill a hole. And anyways, usually the only time I come out here is when I'm playing with my bees, which are right beside me. I don't hear they're still going strong. Let's see if you can here. Wonder if you can hear them there if you're on the Instagram. But anyways, the bees are right there, and so what was I going to say? Oh yeah. These teas are strong, right? So you're looking at like the equivalent of a show pour, a Taiwanese show pour. That's about where we are right here with these teas, which is kind of fun, right? Which overall is actually kind of fun. And like I said, I was brewing them just with putting them in like this. Confirm hearing the bees. Awesome. Thank you, Laser Goose. Lays Goose. I'm trying to figure out what your pronouns would be for laser. Lays Goose. But anyways, thank you for letting me know. That's one of the things. There's a few things in the world I absolutely love more than bees. Very few things. Tea. Yeah, you can say tea. My family. Fresh fruit off the tree. Basically about that. That's about it. But I love the bees, and I raised them right here, so I'm happy that the microphone is working over there. Now, these were wet stored. Now, I don't know how far down this marketing path I'm going to go, right? I don't know how far down this marketing path. Am I going to call it Taiwanese show? Am I going to call it, I have no idea what I'm going to call it, but this is absolutely as close as you can possibly get to a Taiwanese show. Now, one thing I will say, in general, show pour lasts a long time, right? You can brew the crap out of it. You get steep after steep after steep. This, probably about 4 or 5 steeps, maybe 6, pushing it. It's not going to brew that much. It also doesn't brew quite as dark. Let's see. Can you see it here? Yeah. So this is the younger one. This is the older one. Yeah, you can see sort of the color difference, right? So it brews pretty strong like that. It brews strong enough, but it's not brewing like the dark, of those flavors. Like, it's not exactly the same. It's Taiwanese show pour is basically what it is. And I think I probably will call it that, with tongue in cheek, and maybe say like Taiwanese show pour, and then say at the very start, say, this is a marketing ploy. This is not actually show pour. This is just Taiwan. No. But it's fun to sort of call it that. And like I said, it's strong. It's strong, but it's also very, very, very Taiwanese, right? I'm not getting petrichor, right? The smell of fresh rain on dry soil. I'm not getting petrichor. I'm getting aged, roasted Taiwanese dongding is what I'm getting. Coconut, leather, woodiness, resolving into sort of a sweet mid-mouth. And then the aftertaste is very much sort of caramelly dongding. I mean, that's basically what I'm looking at when I'm looking at these, when I'm looking at this one especially. And almost certainly, wow, isn't that interesting? So I wish I could show you. I should have like 2 cameras. And but the 2 teas, like this is an older tea that was aged before it was pressed in cakes, and it's actually not that special. It wasn't a very special tea. This is a better tea, a better quality tea in every way. And so when I'm looking at these 2 teas, this tea is actually pretty cloudy. It's like wet. It's like a wet stored Taiwanese pour. There we go. I should be brewing this with my clay teapots. That's what I should be doing, which is not a bad idea, because this has a little bit of that aged spiciness to it. It's got a little bit of that aged spice, touch of sourness, old bookshelf, old fruity type of flavor to it, right? Old fruity type of flavor to it. dried fruit, bookshelf tartness to it. Whereas this one's much more crisp, clean, smooth, coconut, much more recognizable as a Taiwanese oolong. Like if you said, "Oh, try this show pour," and you handed this to somebody without showing them the leaves, they might go, "Wow, I've never had a show pour like that before. What's really interesting? Where's it from?" Right? Whereas this one, they'd be like, "It's not a show pour. This is aged Taiwanese oolong. What are you doing?" Because it definitely has that lighter aspect to it, the coconuttiness to it, and things like that, which is interesting. Now, would you mind briefly recapping what you're tasting? I missed the start. Yeah, sure. We'll jump in here with. So these are the two tea cakes, and this one is 4 years old. This one is about 10 years old. You can see this one is 600 grams. This one's 300 grams. And I'm going to be getting these teas. Now, these are just for fun, right? They're not that expensive, and you get to try something you haven't tried all the time. But you can see here, this is the 600 gram one. You see there's Taiwan. You can see the edge of it, right? So that the relief of Taiwan on the edge there. And this one is the same thing, but it's a newer tea. And I don't know if you can tell. Well, yeah, you can tell. It's not quite as hardly pressed. So it's actually wrapped in plastic, but it's a little bit more. I think when they pressed it, it was less. Yeah, you can see it's coming loose. When they pressed it, maybe they used less steam on it, so it's not quite pressed quite as well, quite as tightly. But it is theoretically the same as this. And what I'll do is I'll probably put them sort of both on the same page. You can get like 50 grams of each to try them out, and then you can get the whole cake if you want. But if I was going to choose which one I enjoyed more, it's definitely this one, all right, the newer one with the sort of the higher quality leaves. But if you wanted to sort of get what is the one that is basically Taiwanese show. It's older. It's got sort of a touch of funkiness to it, and it tastes a lot older than 12 years. That's for sure. I remember it's about 12 years. I remember the story was he had some tea that was left over, and he didn't know what to do with it. And then about 10 years ago, he pressed it into cakes. So I think it was about a 3 or 4 year old tea, and then he pressed it into cakes about 10 years ago. If I remember correctly, that was the story. And so I'm just going to get them and stick them on a shelf here and have fun with them. Now, right now, it's too early in general for people in Europe, or they're just waking up, or they're sort of at work or something. It's way too late for people in North America at this point. But I'm going to start talking about vanilla. And if anybody out there knows about vanilla, please let me know. Get in touch in the comments. Get in touch in some way with me, please, because I don't know much about vanilla. And I've started to do a little bit of research. But the thing is with vanilla, like so many things in Taiwan, it's a little bit more expensive, right? So the vanilla in Taiwan is a little bit more expensive, but it's also a lot higher quality, I think. But I'm not an expert on vanilla. Let's get to it. So first, this is the vanilla that was in a powder. So you can see here it came in a powder. The powder itself looks an awful lot like sort of black matcha or something like that. So you can sort of see that's what the powdered vanilla looks like this, right? And it smells amazing. And because I like to experiment and do strange things, actually, you know what I'm going to do first? Because I don't want people thinking, let's see. Okay, we're good. Well, we're not quite 100% good. We're close enough. I'm going to put these cakes away because I don't think these cakes really need to be vanilla-ized. Although 100% that is something I'm going to do. I'm going to find some teas. Anyways, I'm going to experiment. But I'm going to experiment with some vanilla powder and with some darker teas. And I'm going to create like imagine honey fragrance black tea with vanilla powder in it. Oh, anyways, what I love about Taiwan is the people in Taiwan are amazing, and the people in Taiwan take their agriculture very, very seriously. And they also are relatively smart in the sense that they know they can't be doing the same thing forever. You can't be just making high mountain oolongs the rest of their lives. It can't happen. No. So, did you know that vanilla grows really well in Taiwan? I did not know that. I could have guessed it, but I always thought, like, for some reason, I think like Tahiti and those types of places are the places that have the vanilla. But Taiwan has started in the last sort of 10 to 15 years really ramping up vanilla production. And it hasn't sort of hit the mainstream yet. So there's still sort of like a premium. But what I have found is it's reached the point where I think a couple of years ago, I was sort of looking around at the vanilla stuff, and it was so niche that it was so expensive. It was brutal. It was just dumb. And now it's gotten to the point where it's about the same price as tea. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy some. And I've been on the horn with the vanilla people all day, and so I'm going to get some vanilla. And I'll probably sell it by the gram. I might sell it by the stick. But the thing is that, so you can see these are the cheaper vanillas, right? So these are the cheaper vanillas. But if you look, you can see that they're 13 to 15 centimeters. And then the other vanillas are like longer, and they're like double or double plus the price. And I was like, what? It's vanilla. What's going on? I said, is anybody out there really explain it to me? Well, when I get in my first sort of shipment of vanilla, I'm going to be like, before I do that, I'm going to say, hey, listen, can you send me like 3 sticks of vanilla? Can you send me can you send me the one that's the double the price and the one that's double the price, just 1 stick, so I can smell them, taste them, and see if there actually is a difference, right? So the longer ones, the like 17 plus centimeter vanilla ones, sell for double the price of these ones. Anyways, that definitely doesn't happen with tea. But why don't we go in here and why don't we try this out? So let's see, what can we use for this? I'm not going to put it in this because this is clay. That's my taste testing. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to use the spoon and because it's the porcelain thing. I don't have another porcelain cup right here. I don't think people are going to want to drink that as a tea. Let me try again. No, it's too vegetal. Now the aftertaste is amazing, but everybody knows that, right? It's vanilla. But the upfront is too, like, this is obviously organic matter, right? The upfront is just, no. But then the aftertaste as you go through is absolutely amazing. But if there was a really high quality black tea, and then the upfront was the really high quality black tea, and then the background was the vanilla, was sort of the vanilla coming out the back end, I think I'm gonna try this. Now, you know, I approach this exactly the same way that I approach the tea. So I've asked them, you know, they are not certified organic, but they do all the tests on their vanilla. They are local. They are family run. They are blah 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 blah. Everything that I want in a tea, and they treat the vanilla like they would a tea. They treat it with respect, which obviously I love. I just absolutely adore things like that. And so this, I'm going to bring into the store and I'm going to start selling. And I'm also going to try and experiment with vanilla powder on tea and make some sort of vanilla Like obviously I'll try, I'll do some roasted teas, sort of the chocolate flavors and things like that type of stuff. That the chocolate, vanilla, blah 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 blah. Obviously I'll try those flavors and try it out. But I wonder if it would work with. I'm going to experiment. I'm just going to experiment with it. Because I know that it's high quality, it's local Taiwanese, and I know the people I've met the people who actually grow the vanilla. And so the next time I go into, because obviously the tea growing areas are also great for growing orchid, which is vanilla. So vanilla is an orchid, and so they grow the orchids, and I know that they're also the tea and then the orchid are side by side. They grow in the same areas, in the Nantou area. And so next time I go over there looking for tea, I'm visiting the vanilla spots as well. Now, while I've got it here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open this up and take out one of these. Now, everybody knows vanilla. Everybody knows the smell. Everybody knows the taste. And this is one of the cheap ones because it's not super long. And I think it really is sort of the inside. It's not so much the outside. So when I'm drinking this, which is the powdered vanilla, I'm tasting the outside, and then the inside is sort of coming out afterwards. Now, the vanilla itself, I don't even know how to prepare it. That's why I was asking earlier. Anybody out there in the verse, if you know anything about vanilla, please let me know, because I know nothing. I literally, I haven't even read the Wikipedia entry about vanilla yet, so I know literally nothing about vanilla, other than the absolute basics. And oh yeah, so there you go. So it's a pod. It's definitely, I don't know, maybe it's beans. I doubt it. It's an orchid. And then on the inside, as far as I can understand, the inside that comes out, it's sort of like tiny poppy seeds. When you open it out, you're supposed to scrape out the tiny poppy seeds, and you can see it here. You scrape out the tiny poppy seeds, and those tiny poppy seeds are the things that in really fancy restaurants, that's the stuff that's floating around your pudding in the pudding. And now my family, we are going to be experimenting with vanilla stuff. So here we go. So here you go. You can see here is some of this stuff right here. I'm going to try it out. Oh, hopefully you can hear it. There was a beautiful afternoon tropical shower behind me right now. That's strong. That's really strong. Sandy, not like actual sand, but sort of the sandy taste to it. And it's like vanilla overload. So now I've got too much vanilla. I can barely taste it. I get some in the aftertaste. Isn't that interesting? That's so fascinating. I got to figure out how to prepare it, tinctures and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, if you know about vanilla, you're probably looking at me. I'm probably doing like the most cringe thing you could possibly imagine. Tell me about vanilla, please, and I will try my darndest to figure out how it works, because I want to support the family who makes this vanilla. I absolutely do, because I don't think the best way to eat it is with a spoon. I don't think that's the best way to eat it. And it smells pretty good though. Anyways, I think that's it for now. I got to go drive around, pick up children. So to recap, 2 great big tea cakes. I'm going to get both of them, and they'll be on the site for the age and the quality. They're actually not that expensive, but they'll be fun for people to try. And the people on next month's subscription box, you're getting a stick of Taiwanese vanilla. And I'll be experimenting with sort of the vanilla powder and putting it in various teas to see if I can pull something off that's really quite special. But anyways, wherever you are in the world, I hope you have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, and all of that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.